Before the desert winds erased her footsteps from temple floors, before stone statues were shattered and her name scraped from royal lists, there lived a woman who dared to sit on Egypt's most sacred throne. Her name was Hatshepsut, and her story is not merely one of royalty, it is a tale of ambition, faith, strategy, and quiet defiance. In an age when kings wore crowns shaped like falcons and gods walked beside men, she reshaped destiny with calculated grace, ruling one of history's greatest civilizations at the height of its power. Long before she was called pharaoh, Hatshepsut was born into privilege. She entered the world as the daughter of Thutmose I, a warrior king who expanded Egypt's borders through conquest and diplomacy. Raised in the royal palace along the Nile, she learned the sacred rituals of temple life, the complexities of court politics, and the stories of gods carved into towering pylons. Priests whispered of the divine order that kept the universe balanced, and young Hatshepsut listened carefully, absorbing the belief that rulers were not simply monarchs, but living guardians of cosmic harmony. As she matured, Hatshepsut became the great royal wife of her half-brother Thutmose II, following tradition meant to preserve royal bloodlines. While her husband ruled, she appeared beside him in ceremonies, depicted in temple reliefs performing sacred offerings to Amun-Ra. Though Thutmose II reigned only briefly and left behind a fragile political situation, Hatshepsut had already proven herself adept at governance, commanding respect from priests and officials alike. When he died, Egypt's throne passed not to her, but to a child Thutmose III, born of a lesser wife. In those uncertain days, the kingdom stood at a crossroads. A boy king could not command armies or settle disputes between powerful elites. Hatshepsut stepped forward as regent, claiming she would protect Egypt until Thutmose III came of age. At first, her role seemed temporary, a caretaker maintaining stability. Yet behind palace walls, alliances were forged, temple treasuries consulted, and divine signs interpreted. Slowly, the regent began to reshape her image not merely as guardian of the throne, but as the throne itself. Within a few years, an unprecedented transformation unfolded. Hatshepsut declared herself pharaoh, not queen consort, not regent but king of Upper and Lower Egypt. Sculptors carved her likeness, wearing the full spirit of kingship, dressed in the pleated kilt of male rulers, crowned with the double crown that symbolized unity across the land. In inscriptions, she adopted masculine titles, speaking of herself as His Majesty, while never entirely abandoning her female identity. Egypt watched in awe as tradition bent without breaking. To legitimize her rule, Hatshepsut turned to the gods. Temple walls at Karnak proclaimed a dramatic tale that Amun himself had visited her mother in divine form and fathered Hatshepsut, choosing her before birth to rule Egypt. Reliefs showed gods leading her to the throne, crowning her with royal insignia while other deities nodded in approval. These stories were not mere mythology. They were political declarations carved into stone, meant to silence rivals and reassure a deeply religious society that her reign was ordained by heaven. Yet Hatshepsut was not content with symbolism alone. She governed with precision and vision, shifting Egypt's focus away from relentless warfare and toward prosperity through trade, architecture, and internal stability. While armies still protected borders, her court invested heavily in commerce and diplomacy. The Nile flowed with goods from distant lands, filling storehouses and enriching temples. Under her guidance, Egypt entered a period of remarkable wealth, its cities humming with artisans, priests, and scribes. One of her most celebrated achievements was the legendary expedition to the land of Punt, a mysterious region believed to lie along the Red Sea coast, perhaps in modern-day Eritrea or Somalia. Reliefs at her mortuary temple depict ships gliding across exotic waters, returning laden with gold, incense, trees, and rare animals. Punt's rulers are shown greeting Egyptian envoys, sealing peaceful exchanges rather than bloody conquest. These carvings stand among the earliest detailed records of international trade in human history. But Hatshepsut's greatest monument rose from the cliffs of western Thebes, a masterpiece of symmetry and ambition known today as Deir el-Bahari. Built against towering limestone walls, her mortuary temples stretched outward in elegant terraces connected by long ramps, lined with colonnades that caught the desert sun. Statues of the pharaoh once stood in solemn rows, gazing toward the Nile, while reliefs chronicled her divine birth, trading missions, and sacred rituals. It was architecture designed not only to honor the gods, but to immortalize her reign. Throughout Egypt, obelisks soared into the sky bearing her name, some of the tallest ever raised. These massive stone needles, carved from single blocks of granite, proclaimed her devotion to Amen and her ability to command vast resources and labor forces, inscribed with gilded hieroglyphs. They shimmered in sunlight, visible for miles, silent declarations that a woman now wielded supreme power. Despite the grandeur, not everyone welcomed her rule. Traditionalists may have whispered doubts, and supporters of young Thutmose III waited patiently for their champion's return. Official art showed him beside Hatshepsut during her early reign, but always slightly diminished. A junior partner in a kingdom she firmly controlled. Whether tensions simmered beneath the surface or cooperation prevailed remains debated by historians. But what is clear is that Hatshepsut ruled confidently for more than 2 decades, maintaining stability in an unpredictable world. When death finally came for the pharaoh, she was likely in her 50s, a long life by ancient standards. Her burial was prepared with the full honors of kingship, and Egypt passed quietly into a new chapter as Thutmose III assumed sole rule. For a time, it seemed her legacy would endure in stone forever. But years later, something extraordinary happened. Her images were smashed, her cartouches chiseled from monuments, her statues toppled and buried. Reliefs once praising her divine birth were altered to glorify others. It was as though someone sought to erase her from history. Why this campaign of destruction began remains one of Egyptology's greatest mysteries. Many scholars suggest Thutmose III, now an accomplished warrior king, ordered the removals decades into his reign not out of personal vengeance, but to restore a traditional male succession and prevent future women from claiming the throne. Others propose political necessity, a rewriting of history to strengthen dynastic continuity. Whatever the motive, the attempt was thorough but not complete. Hidden reliefs survived behind walls, broken statues lay buried in temple pits, and her name lingered in forgotten corners. Centuries passed, empires rose and fell, temples collapsed into sand, and Hatshepsut became a ghost in Egypt. It's a long memory. When European explorers and archaeologists arrived in the 19th century, they encountered puzzling monuments bearing both male titles and unmistakably female features. Slowly, hieroglyphs were deciphered, fragments assembled, and the truth emerged. A woman had ruled Egypt as Pharaoh and ruled it brilliantly. The search for her mummy became another chapter in this unfolding mystery. Several unidentified royal bodies lay in hidden tombs, and scholars debated which might belong to Hatshepsut. In the early 21st century, modern technology, CT scans, and DNA analysis suggested one candidate: a woman buried in a nurse's tomb, her teeth matching a molar found in a box bearing Hatshepsut's name. Though not every question has been answered, science offered a hauntingly intimate connection to a ruler lost for 3,000 years. Today, visitors walk the terraces of Deir el-Bahari in awe, tracing carved scenes of ships sailing to Punt and gods crowning a determined monarch. They stand beneath obelisks that still scrape the sky, reading hieroglyphs that survive chisel and time alike. In museums, statues restored from fragments show Hatshepsut in multiple guises: female regent, male king, divine child of Amenesh, image a facet of her carefully crafted authority. Her story challenges assumptions about power in the ancient world. She did not seize the throne with armies, but with theology, symbolism, architecture, and patient political maneuvering. She proved that leadership in Egypt depended not solely on gender, but on one's ability to embody Mat, to keep order between gods and humans, Nile and desert, past and future. In the end, the attempt to erase Hatshepsut only sharpened her legend. What was meant to silence her voice instead turned her into one of the most fascinating figures in history. Ruler who bent tradition without breaking it, who carved her destiny into cliffs and granite, who governed with calm authority in a realm dominated by kings. Long after the priests stopped chanting her name and the last incense tree from Punt withered away, her legacy endured in stone, sand, and story, waiting patiently for the world to remember the woman who became pharaoh.